Okay, everyone, it is 54 minutes after the hour on this Friday. What a long week it has been, right? A lot going on and a lot to cover today. And normally I try to talk to you guys in the morning, but this morning was a little hectic in itself, as you're about to see. So a lot of topics I'm going to try to cover here the next few moments. Obviously, we've got the some more Eclipse discussion too. So you have questions there. We'll get to that, I promise. But there's a few things I wanted to hash out before we get to that. As always, you guys can comment on our social media pages, Twitter, X, Facebook, as well as on YouTube. That is an option for you guys as well. If you're watching on stream, obviously you're not going to be able to see the comments right away there, but we will get to that, I promise. Quick update on one of the newer things that came out today. One of the topics we're going to cover, and that is the storm surveys that are still ongoing. A couple things to note. One big one is that the storm that produced a tornado warning that was moving across areas of Orange County, southern Lawrence, Washington, southern Jackson, Jennings, northern Scott, northern Jefferson. It had that very incredible looking velocity. We got the velocity winds again, 104 miles per hour at one point. And we were told that by officials that there was a tornado on the ground and that damage may have been done there into around Caruthersville. However, the Weather Service has surveyed the area and talked to officials. They cannot find anything there that would signify a tornado has taken place. So that area will not be surveyed. So if you have anything significant and you're in that path on Tuesday, especially for Tuesday afternoon in the 5 o'clock hour, make sure to let your local officials know so they can get that relayed to the National Weather Service, because again, that survey is the one that has been canceled. All right. Still ongoing with the one in Harrison County. And this was the 1 o'clock in the afternoon tornado, very close to Georgetown, that hit one home, but it did touch down a couple spots in wooded areas as well. And still ongoing with the eastern Clark County and Jeffersonville into northeast Jefferson County, again, around the Prospect area, where it's EF2 damage. New today, though, they have added that they have found EF2 damage into Buckner, into Oldham County as well. Now, if you look at the line that so far has been delineated by the National Weather Service as it enters into Oldham County, there is a bit of a jump that happens before you get to Buckner, and then it continues on with the path that then leads you into Henry County. This is when we did notice on the radar there was a bit of a weakening in the velocity that happened here in the western side of Oldham County. And then when it got very close to just south of LaGrange, the velocity really tightened back up again. And then we started to detect actual debris in the air at that point flying around. Now, that could have been a delayed effect of what was happening in Prospect. But there is a chance, if there is not any damage that is coinciding with a tornado that is found between the line out of Prospect and the one in Buckner, this would then be a separate tornado that has taken place out of the same storm, just a redevelopment of an EF2 that then moved into areas of Henry County. But they're not done. So there is a chance the rating could go higher. Who knows? Because that second one was pretty intense on the velocity as it entered in the eastern side of Oldham County. So just to update there that they're still ongoing with that. And again, that EF1 continued into Henry, and then right around Newcastle, looks like that's when it did have a chance to lift up. That's one story that we're watching. The other, of course, obviously Nelson County. Don't want to forget you guys. That was Tuesday morning down in Chaplin. EF1 there. Also, we had other tornadoes across Kentucky from Anderson County all the way to Jessamine. So there were others across the Commonwealth, but as far as wave country, that is the batch that we've been talking about. The other issue, of course, today, you guys have heard already about the earthquake into New Jersey, 4.8 on the Richter scale. Decent earthquake. New York City obviously felt it. In fact, this is the shake zone. There's a majority of the population in the United States, right, is here. So a lot of people felt this. I haven't had so far not a lot of significant reports of anything on the damage side. I think it's just mainly a lot of Ring doorbell camera videos are coming out everywhere, and store surveillance footage. You're going to see a lot of that today. But a lot of questions about, wait, what's going on here? Is this a sign of something big it's about to happen? You know, we just had the big one in Taiwan that had 7.7 on the Richter scale in Taiwan. So what about that connection? There isn't that we are able to find. That is a different side of the tectonic plate. There is a plate that is lined up into the eastern seaboard of the United States. But you have to keep in mind that the eastern United States is older than the western United States. That's why the Appalachians are smaller in a mountain range, and the Rockies are huge. The taller the mountain range, the newer that area of land is, basically, as far as plates go. So the Rockies in the western United States are a newer form of the United States and rock and its material. The eastern United States is rather, I wouldn't say ancient, but it's old. And that type of rock does tend to shake easily. We run into the same issue too into the Ohio Valley near the New Madrid. But what is interesting is that some of the theories on this is that because there is snow that is ongoing in this area, and they've had decent amounts of cold weather and snow as of late, that has caused some stress on that particular plate. So it's not often you would hear the atmosphere and meteorology affecting geology, but there is a possibility that the temperature changes may have caused stress on the plate and caused that to vibrate. And again, it normally would not be a significant event if it wasn't for the fact the type of rock that it is and so many people in that area. But I haven't heard of anyone being hurt or anything, and it's a notable size. 4.8 will get your attention for sure. Even around wave country, usually about a 3.9 to a 4.2 on the New Madrid usually gets a lot of attention around our area when we've had these before from the New Madrid. But boy, it's also a reminder too. The New Madrid is way overdue. You guys remember the 1990 December 3rd, right? When Ivan Browning was talking about the big one was going to hit. Boy, I remember that. I remember tying up the water heater, getting jugs of water. We're long overdue for the New Madrid. Let's hope that doesn't happen anytime soon, though, because I just feel like the Earth is angry here lately, right? So anyway, just want to let you guys know an update on that. The other issue we're watching is we've got a chilly day today, but as clouds thin out, we're getting ready for a freeze tonight here locally. Freeze warning is in effect for everyone that is watching right now, and that will be for at the last minute of the overnight hour. So roughly about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, skies should clear then. So the freeze would happen real close to sunrise for tomorrow. So if you have any plants you need to take care of, get those bundled up. And that's not the only thing. We also have a marginal risk of severe weather that has been added for much of the area, actually, for Sunday afternoon. This is before Eclipse Day. There is a marginal risk, mainly west of 65, and we'll have more on that in just a second. So those are the main topics to get through, with obviously the eclipse being one too. So let me try to hash this out as much as I can, and we'll get to some of your questions, okay? So first off, it's 45 outside. Any plans this afternoon? It's just a cloudy, overcast day. Light rain will continue to develop. As we've seen the past few days, the light rain is a little more widespread because the heating of the day we're getting from the sun, so that induces some of these showers and drizzles. So that will be the case for this afternoon. Fading away tonight, but it's part of this long stretch of clouds, and it's huge low pressure. This is still the same storm system, guys. Still the same storm system that brought us the tornadoes on Tuesday. It is still, like how it's just churning. And there's actually a secondary low that's kind of developing here on the western side. The main low that we had, oh, it's a smiley face, hello, that we had on Tuesday. It's still on the map in around Nova Scotia, but still the influence of this trough is just massive in the eastern United States. And it eventually will lose its gas as it gets kicked out. And this will be our weather for part of the weekend. But we're already seeing clouds streaming in back in the Rockies. That is our system for Sunday that we'll need to watch. So let me show you Futurecast. We'll go through this. This afternoon, I mentioned the showers again fading out, allowing for the clear sky, frost, freeze set up by early tomorrow morning. We see a beautiful looking Saturday. We may get to 60 in Louisville. A lot of you will fall short of that. You'll be spending much of the day in the 50s, but it will be a pretty day. And it's certainly a much calmer, nicer looking day period that we've had so far this entire week. So good timing. It'll be a Saturday as well. We get into Sunday. Now, here is where we got the slow pressure moving in from the Rockies into the plains. It comes in with a force. It's ready to go. Kick up severe weather, bring in some moisture, warmth coming our way. But the difference compared to the one we had on Tuesday is this low pressure actually will put the brakes on and slow down dramatically. With that happening, that does allow for the amount of forcing that the front will have to begin to wane rather quickly as it heads to the east. And the modeling has been fairly consistent on the idea. The problem is, until that waning effect happens, there is still enough fuel that gets pulled in to allow for some gusty thunderstorms. You see the red area that outlines the storm potential and fuel that gets kicked into the Boot Heel of Missouri at around 5 in the afternoon. Normally, this wouldn't get a lot of attention. It is because of what just happened. And secondly, there are a lot of festivals that are taking place for the eclipse this weekend and the path of totality. A lot of people are going to be outside. And Saturday is going to be beautiful. Sunday, majority of the day will be good. But Sunday, late afternoon, if you have plans to be traveling in these festivals, especially, just be aware that there could be a line of some gusty thunderstorms that will be approaching late afternoon after 5 p.m. on Sunday. And if you're camping, keep that in mind as well. Right now, the potential does look more ominous, if you will, as far as a damaging wind threat or even some hail across southern Missouri and southern Illinois. And then you see as we get into about 9 o'clock, some of those cells move a little closer to French Lick, into Jasper, Evansville, down toward Bowling Green. And then we get to late evening and there's not much left. So they do run out of gas. So that whole idea is holding quite well, that we're going to see a weakening trend. And this is not a tornado, setup here that we're looking at. But it does look like there could be a couple warnings for hail and wind. I can't rule that out. That is certainly possible, just given there is a surge of dew points well into the 50s, close to 60 degrees with this little ribbon. So it makes sense. So I don't want to downplay just because of what happened. We don't control the storms that way on an emotional side. That's not our responsibility. All we just tell you is what the data shows. And there is a potential to get some severe weather in West Kentucky and Southwest Indiana late on Sunday. So make sure you're aware of that. Again, we'll see that begin to decrease as we get closer to I-65. But this rain ribbon should get just south and east of Louisville, especially, and kind of stretch out across areas of southern Kentucky and central Tennessee by early on Monday. And that is key on allowing us to get the break that we need and want for the solar eclipse. But I really haven't found a whole lot of data that says there's a problem with that idea, that there's going to be a slowing of the front or the rain's going to linger longer than expected. I haven't seen that signal yet. That's good. So it's relatively high confidence in the idea that we're going to get that rain band south of us. And that's important with that path of totality moving in from Mexico into Texas. Texas right now is going to be tough because that front that moves in Sunday night does have a tail that stretches all the way into Texas. A lot of people are going to Texas for the eclipse. That may be where the front stalls. For us, as we get rid of the rain band, the lower deck of clouds should begin to flow in the area and begin to break out because the dew point does drop on Monday. By mid-morning, there is dry air that entrenches. It flows right into an angle, almost like a curve. It punches right into Indiana and northern Kentucky. And with that lowering of the dew point by mid-morning on Monday, that will take the lower deck of clouds and just dry them up. However, the higher deck of clouds, the cirrus deck, will be a little tougher to break up just because the atmosphere is not able to dry out all layers, only just the bottom layer. So we're at the mercy of maybe some thinning that's a little more obvious in other areas to allow for a little more of that blue to show up and allow for an awesome show for the passage of the moon in front of the sun. But there is a chance it may be a thin overcast. Is that going to be a problem? Not necessarily. You're still going to get quite the show. When you put on your eclipse glasses, you're still going to be able to see the effect of the moon pass in. Even with a thin cirrus, you can still do that. You don't realize you still see the sun on a high overcast day in our area, but we don't want to look at it, right? Shouldn't look at it. So we just don't notice it, but it is there. So the same idea will be at play here. It'll be a little more faint. Won't be probably as awesome, as pretty as we would hope it. You know what? Given it's April and how the weather is and has been as of late, I don't think we really can complain too much. This is actually a fairly fair deal that we're being dealt. So high thin cirrus will be the gameplay as we head toward midday on Monday. Now, I will say caution that immediately after the eclipse, the dew point rises dramatically. So that means a new layer of lower clouds will then fill back in and redevelop rapidly across Indiana and Kentucky as we head into Monday late afternoon and night, and the rain is going to be fairly widespread as we head into late Monday to Tuesday as well. So the timing is perfect. We get rain and thunder, thinning of the clouds, and then rain and thunder comes back. But at the moment, the eclipse is right there in the middle. So I think I like how this is looking. So what we're going to do for now, we're going to adjust this afternoon as we get more data rolling in from especially the euro, which is coming in about 30 minutes. You can see we've got, at least the small rain chance to account for some showers that may try to linger. But we're going to go with the thinning of the clouds, and the amount of thinning should be enough with the lower dew points to push our temperature up. When you take moisture out of the air, you can move the thermometer up. So we should see the temperature jump into the 70s. So it will be a warm setup. Isn't that nice? Get a warm setup into the 70s as we get into total eclipse time, which will be right at the point of about 306, 307, depending on where you're at there on eclipse day. And then again, clouds roll right back in. Let me show you some examples. This is, again, the Louisville look of how things will appear. And this is, of course, you got to keep in mind there could be some haziness to this because of the high cirrus clouds around. But in general, about 149 is what we're looking at for the chipping away of the sun to begin, where the moon is passing in front of it. It will max out at about 3:07 p.m. in Louisville. And for a lot of you actually watching in southern Indiana, far southern Indiana and Kentucky, it'll be roughly about the same time, about 3:07. And it won't cover the sun entirely. It will actually reverse the effect of what we always say about a crescent moon. It'll be a crescent sun type of idea. But even at 99.2, you still have to wear your eclipse glasses. By the way, you cannot take them off at all. If you're in far southern Indiana and Louisville and Kentucky, you cannot. You got to keep them on the entire time. No exceptions to that. Otherwise, you will be in the hospital. All right. It can cause serious damage to your eyes. Don't do it. We will then gradually enter out of that during the rest of the 3 o'clock hour and then be back to, I want to say normal. Dare I say normal at 4:22 as we get into the afternoon. Now, let me show you what it looks like in the path of totality. Scottsburg, Seymour especially. Anywhere in the path of totality, this is the look you will get. The time it'll start, about the same, 1:49 p.m. Maxing out 3:06 to 3:09 as far as in particular into Seymour. And it will then cover up the sun entirely. Now, what is interesting about this for this round, as we've been talking about, is that the corona is a little more active right now. The sun is more active than it has been and certainly was in 2017. So you're going to get a little more of that starry effect around the edges. The ring itself of the eclipse will look pretty awesome. This is the only time, though, when you're 100%, you can take your glasses off and see it. And you'll have 3 minutes to enjoy it. And you got to put the glasses right back on. Before we get to this point, there are a couple of things that will happen. There's one right at the point, I would say right here. There will be an effect, kind of back it up right about that point. There will be a kind of a glistening or a twinkling of the sunlight on the edge of the moon. It'll happen only for a few seconds, but when that happens, we call that Bailey's beads, which is basically the terrain of the moon. As you guys know, it's got a lot of craters on it, a lot of dimples, right? So they got their own version of mountain chains they got on the moon. So the sun itself will be shining in between the mountains and the canyons of the moon itself. So that creates a bit of a twinkling, glistening effect. We call that Bailey's beads. That's what you'll see for a brief moment. And then as we get to the very last moment before the moon does officially take over, there is what they call the diamond ring effect, where you'll get one spot. One corner of the sun will be very bright, and then you got the ring around it, and it looks obviously like a diamond ring on your finger. That also has a name for it. Only lasts a few seconds. You will get that again in opposite sides of the image when we come out of the eclipse. You'll go from diamond ring to Bailey's beads, and then back to full sun again. So very cool if you're in the path of totality to see that experience of all those names we talk about when that passes on by, and then by the time we get to the 4 o'clock hour, we're out of that. We're done. Okay, so that is where we stand on the look of the way the sun will be. Some of the times here to recap, I'm sure you guys are fully aware of this, but again, you're going to have to travel into Crawford County. You're going to have to get into central areas around Salem, into Washington County, Scottsburg. You got to get in northern Jefferson County, Indiana, north of Madison, and you got to be in that zone in general. North of Cincinnati, Evansville will be in it, but you got to be in that zone to get to that experience I just explained. And the times on that will vary. Obviously, the closer you are to the dead center of the line itself, you're going to get a longer pause point to enjoy the totality and have the glasses off. You'll have that roughly close to 4 minutes along that path, which is why so many people are, including William Shatner, are going to IU. NASA will be there. A lot of people will be at the Indianapolis Speedway, Indianapolis, because of the idea it's going to be nearly 4 minutes. In totality, in 2017, it was only 2 minutes and about 45 seconds. That's what we had then, and that was the max. So this is nearly a good minute, if not more, of a longer show. And it's a wider path, too, just because of being a sun angle that it's spring instead of summer. You get a little bit wider of a path of totality, which is pretty wild. Renee asking about Carrollton. Nope, Carrollton will not be in the totality. Again, only far west Kentucky, of any part of Kentucky, will be in totality, far west. Otherwise, this is an Indiana event, guys. This is an Indiana event. And again, you're going to have to travel there. Just keep in mind that I-65 is going to jam up. Highway 150, 31, these will all, Charlestown Road, I'm sure will all these will jam up as we get into the end of the eclipse, depending on what people's behavior is. And we don't know how that is going to go. We can only assume, based on what happened in 2017, that everyone staggered into Hopkinsville, especially when the eclipse was over. Everyone hit the roads, and the journey was, again, about 10 hours to get home. It was a long night. It could be that extreme again for this one, but we'll see. We have more options than we did versus Hopkinsville was the star of the entire eclipse. For max eclipse point, the entire path on the planet was Hopkinsville. In this situation, the max point is actually a city in Mexico that actually will have that ability. So there's not really one specific point in the United States that is taking the lead. So there's multiple options. I'm hoping we can spread the crowd out a little more to ease the traffic idea, but be aware that you could get stuck on one of these 2-lane roads or even I-65, and you just may not move. Make sure you got a lot of gas. Cell phones are all charged up, but be ready to not have a signal at all. The cell towers may be overwhelmed. So make sure you keep a map, an old school map in the car in case you need to figure out how to get by some of these side roads if you're not used to the layout in Indiana, because we don't know yet, but if your device will die on you and you don't have a battery backup, then you're in trouble, right? So make sure you just have everything in your mindset. If you're able to stay the night, though, Monday night, and then travel on Tuesday, it will be a messier day on travel with rain and heavy rain, but you will have less of a sitting still effect. So there you go. Does that help? Longest duration ever, Adam, is 7 minutes. I'm trying to remember the seconds. It's 7 minutes. That's the max you can ever have in a solar eclipse, just because of the size of the moon. But it was 7 minutes. That's the max. I don't see anything like that again for a long time. We have a path that will, let me see if I have another map after this. We do. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I will talk more about this map in a second. There will be a path that'll be like this. Actually, a little more angled. Hold on, let me redraw it. In 2045 or 44, there will be a total solar eclipse just for Montana. Just for Montana only, because it's a late day event and then sunset. So it's Montana 2044. 2045 in August, there will be one similar to 2017, actually, a little more south, that tracks in southern United States, again, Texas and Florida. Orlando will be in the path. Kentucky will not be, but it's drivable. That will be August 2045. As far as getting totality into Louisville, it will happen. The path goes right through Jefferson County, right in the middle of Louisville. That will be a Wednesday, October 17th, the year 2135. I think it's it, 2135. So, yeah, I mean, go ahead and book your hotel if you want. But you get the idea that if you can take advantage of the one coming through Monday, it's worth it for your lifetime, even if the risk of there being high clouds around. Okay? Does that help at all? Louisville area is 99%. It will be just a chip of the moon. It'll look as dim as it is like we had. If you're sunny outside and you know how a thunderstorm's moving in and it gets real dark outside, you're outside mowing usually, and you're like, oh no, I got to get inside. It will look like that. It will get dim, but you'll still be able to see all around you. In totality, what is really cool about it is when you get into the full total eclipse, if you're able to see over the crowd, which may be tough, especially in Indiana because it's so flat, if you're able to see all the crowd, you will actually see a 360 sunrise that's taking place. You got a dark spot over you, but if you look all around you, I mean, you turn all the way around 360, and you will see a sunrise in all locations on the ground, lighting up on the land areas in the distance. It's a pretty wicked, weird feeling. What I remember in Hopkinsville is that I remember seeing all the stars in the sky. I remember that. And I remember the airplanes that were flying because we were able to look at the sun during the eclipse. You can't look at the sun otherwise on a typical sunny day, so you don't notice these things. But looking at the sun, I was able to see almost every single plane that was in the sky at that moment. The actual aluminum on the planes was being lit up by the sun, and you could see all of them. And it was pretty wild to even to see that event take place. Sorry, I got on a tangent. So Louisville, no, Louisville will not be in totality, but it will still get dim. It'll still be interesting to see it pass through. I mean, a crescent sun's pretty wild. It'll look cool on the glasses, but it will not be the same. It will not be the same as totality. 139 years. Thank you, Brandon. You're right. Even our grandchildren will miss that one. They will. I think it's 2135. I hope I have that right, but it's 21 something, but I think it's 2135. All right. Everyone seems okay. Let's see, Danny, real quick. I-64 will be a mess. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I-64 will also be a mess as well, heading back into Jasper for heading to Evansville area. Same story. Any roadway, they're just warning you guys, just based on what happened in 2017. Again, I don't know what the behavior of people will be like for this one. I don't know everyone's plans watching right now. I don't know what you're going to do. And there's so many people traveling, but there's so many options too. It's going to be interesting to see how this evolves. And it's going to be a big test of our wireless networks, our emergency systems. It's going to be a test of our infrastructure. It's a lot of things get tested. I have a lot of anxiety and stress in general in my life. I always am like that. I'm always just a nervous, worrisome person. But my anxiety is going to be high for this. I'm excited about seeing it. My anxiety is high for that. I also have a lot of anxiety about the traffic idea afterwards. So I totally understand that. Okay, let me move on from that. We're going to have more Eclipse talk on our newscast. And of course, we'll have you live here on the blogs tonight and for the weekend. So yeah, plenty of opportunities to get updates on this. I want to mention, again, that rain does increase late Monday night into Tuesday. This will be rain and thunder as we head into Tuesday. Some of this could be locally heavy. We'll be watching that. Euro's not too aggressive on it, but I think the trend is there and fits the pattern to have it an active setup for Tuesday and Wednesday for rain and thunder. Then we're all watching what happens here. What does this low do? You can see the intense fuel that gets pulled into Houston, into Baton Rouge, into Louisiana for severe weather, which is likely in that area by the time we head into Wednesday, by the way. This low, as it develops, will get the pressure of a trough trying to put in. There's actually a piece that moves in from the Rockies into Canada that's going to try to suppress it. If it is weak, then this low pressure has a chance to really deepen as it moves across Missouri into Ohio. If, just like we have in the wintertime, when we say a storm has a lower pressure, it will likely cut north. If it is a weaker low pressure, it will actually be a little more flatter in its journey eastbound. Which is the reason why it makes a difference on whether or not we get rain or snow, right, in January. Same idea at play here. A stronger low pressure that's going to cut will be a problem because it would then bring the warm sector in for severe weather into Tennessee and perhaps into Kentucky as we head into next Thursday. And this would be another very busy setup if that were to indeed happen. If the pressure ends up being lower, the track would be more or less right over us or just south of us. It'd be windy, but it'd be more of a heavy rain scenario. The modeling is varying quite a bit. There's a track that goes like this. I've seen tracks that go like that. I'll kind of just plot everything I've seen. This is the kind of look I've been seeing on all the models, just like that. It's all over the place, but they all have been varying on the pressure, and that seems to be the difference on its impact. So we cannot flag this as an alert day yet, just because we don't have high enough confidence on the pressure level and therefore the track. Once we gain that and it looks like it'll be a threat, we'll let you know right away. As soon as our confidence gets high enough to do that, we'll let you know. It's not there yet. So there's still some hope here that this is just a rain event and nothing on the severe side. Okay. So it moves on by and then we end up with another trough. And you know what? The weather pattern is going to keep repeating. So we will likely keep seeing more of the same ideas of these low pressures moving in, We get cool in behind them, which means I would not plant anything early because I got a feeling these cool shots of air are going to go all the way into May. We always say don't plant anyway until Derby or Mother's Day around here. It will certainly hold true this year. And the next system, if it times out, may be an impact toward Thunder over Louisville. Just FYI, looking far out, there is a chance that the timing may line up near the 20th. We'll keep you updated. All right, everyone good? Since I'm done here, this is going to replay, and you'll have a chance to be able to rewatch this again, I promise. Be patient and be kind to others. Be respectful of the NDOT. You're right, Terry, good point. They're going to be stressed. It's all hands on duty there for just about every trooper in both states and law enforcement. They're going to try to keep everyone safe. I mean, we want everyone to have a good time. This is an amazing celestial event. We want you to have a good time. If you don't want to deal with this or you can't make it at all, we are doing our special course starting at 2 o'clock. Kevin and I will be in Seymour. Shannon Cogan will be in French Lick. We have people in Scottsburg, here in Louisville. We're going to have a special. We're going to show you camera views, and we're part of a large television network, Gray Television Network, and as majority of our TV stations are actually on the path of totality. So we have a lot of options to show you guys live on the air when we are on Monday. So you won't miss the eclipse. You're going to be able to see it, whether it's in person or on TV. We'll get you there. All right, there you go, guys. I'm going to leave it there for now. Again, I believe Kevin, I think we'll be back on this evening. So we'll have an update on what's happening with the Sunday storms and, of course, more on the eclipse talk as we get more data on that. Otherwise, I will see you guys coming up on Wave News at 3.